Are we back?
Is he back? Are we back? Question
Looks
mark?
like it. I think so.
Is it back?
Yes. Okay, I can see the stream moving.
Chat, can you hear me? Okay, so I remember this happening last time. Jem has a habit of the internet always dying at midnight. He changed the time, and now it dies at this time. So, it sabotages the stream. Fate just does not want me to do a lesson today, I'm telling you. Oh my god. Jem is secretly sabotaging my lessons, guys. I have a Hydra army. I can just, summon them anytime. I can just point all the Hydras at Jem. Anywho, back to the lesson. I didn't say anything. Anyway, going back to here, so this start just didn't seem to go as planned in general, and I guess just in general we can say it wasn't planned. Because we had two stuck up here, you ended up going in the front, your other teammate stuck alone down here, and there's really no help anywhere, because the way this should go is that where you were should be in place of one of your front lines, your support should be hiding kind of using the tower as cover. You'll find a lot of supports will always use the tower as cover and then pick a side wherever they're needed the most. And of course you wanted to survey up top here, so that way you can cover the person down here or the person in mid. The person on the left here is going to be reliably on their own, so they have to make sure they stay alive. They can't really push on their own, but if they find a guaranteed pick, they can take it, and then maybe your team from right can move to the left.
Right.
But in this case, it just wasn't planned, so it's definitely one of those, hey, we're just gonna wing it, and maybe a play I can do will pull something off. It's just, that's where kind of the solo mindset comes in at the start of the game, and that's where the team mindset beats solo mindset. And that's also definitely of course, the benefit of planning. So for this start here, definitely if the team discusses about it prior, to set up where they want their range player and how they can 2v1 to potentially 3v1 or 3v2 to win a team fight where they have advantage. That's what you want to try to set up at the start, so then you can get the early push and just get into the positions you want to control and keep moving on. Now, going back to where we could see abilities, I'm pretty sure you do map check quite a bit, which I am proud of.
I think this is one of like the good teams.
Yes, Mr. Rocket Man. Wah, we back. Yeah.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
Alright, do it.
Man, I say you map check a lot, and you don't map check in the first 5 seconds.
Beginning.
I'm gonna be honest, I do forget sometimes myself, because if we have a burst start strategy, we just go. And then afterwards, when I'm in a set position and I'm charging, I'll actually briefly check the map and then look. So, not all bad, but I do always try to encourage. I even try to drill it into my own brain. Even if I forget to map check when I see it on a VOD afterwards, I'm like, I teach this and I'd forget sometimes. So, the more we make it as a habit, the better we have. So, unsure of the abilities at the start, but in general case scenario, just from what you can see from this comp, it's a standard comp that you see in nowadays. So like the leader most likely has respawn Punisher on. The splash will probably have stealth ninja squid, or that's probably object shredder in replace of stealth. I find those are the two most common builds. T-Tech, I'm not too sure.
It's not back up on YouTube. I need to fix it on YouTube.
Is it not?
YouTube.
I thought it was.
I haven't seen any comments from YouTube people.
I'm looking at it. Unless if we're there. That's how I said wow, we're back.
Yeah, it's on YouTube for me.
Okay,
Are
just
you
no,
okay, Jerry?
nobody on YouTube has said anything since it came back up. It's
Yeah,
been 5
no, it's
minutes and there are
there.
no YouTube chat messages.
What do you mean? There were chat messages at 6:01, 6:02, 6:04, 6:06.
They're not showing up on Restream anymore.
For restream.
Oh my god. Okay, well, if it's showing up there and like we've got the viewer count and everything, then it should be good.
Yeah, I have it up on both screens, so if something happens, I can see it.
Carry on.
Okay. Don't worry, YouTube chat. I see you. So yeah, standard comp. T-techs vary in this case, so this is the one I usually like to double check, these two in particular, to see if this is actually going to be a double bomb junior, or if this is going to be a double bomb T-tech or a special spam T-tech, or just a hardcore frontline standard build. So the T-tech is definitely the unknown that I would definitely want to see when I can. Otherwise, the rest are kind of pretty standard, which you probably know they're going to run, but this will also tell you if this person's going to be more aggressive, or if this person's going to be more aggressive, or hey, maybe the junior isn't a double bomb junior. Maybe it just might go full on battle mode, because we do see battle juniors in nowadays in comp. So yeah. With your team, you also got a pretty good comp as well with the machine and the junior in different places here. So you have a little less paint, but you still have just as much pressure. In fact, your team has more under ledge pressure, while the other team's got kind of the bombs to rely on. So yours is kind of more of a faster engagement. So both have their pros and cons, but standard comps from both sides to look out for. Can't see the abilities just yet, but I know you can see them later on, and I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, what I said is what we do see.
Junior is
So yeah, going back over this initial start here, unfortunate double bomb, which will happen here. But I say even when you drop and you are trying to get, like, you can still see my mouse, right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, even though this person's over here, you do try to get it, and you're still trying to play your space. All is well, even with the drop mistake, you're still, spacing out and making a threat to this person here. You can also, if someone happens to just rush the ledge, you can also, pop out and do jump shots over. And this is another thing with Fia is playing unscoped charger, so jump shots are more common with the unscopes. The scope chargers more so will always, they'll peek behind the box, but they will just tend to usually be there. The unscope will just dodge around, kind of like how knots move, like how they store their charge, move around, pop back up, and all that stuff. The unscope chargers do that the most, where they'll just store a charge and just jump around, even though that requires more accuracy. A lot of them, of course, practice enough to be able to hit those, and that's what they prefer. I know with also with unscoped chargers, you have more of the peripheral vision. You can see all of this. Meanwhile, with the scope, when you charge in, you just zoom in real quick. You do have a little more range with that one, and you can get further. Oh, speaking of range here, another thing I want to point out is usually as a backliner, you want to take note is if there's another backline, who are you contesting and who has the upper hand? Because your team is going to rely on you to try to potentially get out that backline, unless if, of course, you're outranged, you're going to rely more on the team to try to contest it, or to push it back to help you get in a better advantage position to take out the other backline. In this case, Fia is up against a leader. This is a normal charger versus a leader, both unscoped, but leader still has the range win, which means it should win more of the 1v1s. Keyword is should. But the other thing with these two is, one, the normal charger has a faster charge. It's like the Hydra versus Heavy matchup. So faster charge, and a lethal sub. Those are the two advantages with the other charger here. And it's got a vac. It's a really good tower pusher and holder, and it can actually contest this leader when it gets close. And Fia does a really good job doing that here. So we'll get to one of those points and we'll discuss that closer, which most backlines can take note of when we get there.
They got 2 with a bomb. Be careful, they're pushing in right
So
now.
unfortunate bomb that gets a couple of your teammates there, but again, that's just kind of the pre-planning. You can see we weren't too sure. One of them did move up there.
I'm building up Tri-Strike right now.
Okay, so we have the call out to build special, which is good. So we want to build up Tri-Strike and use it. Okay. One thing that's unfortunate here is when your splash goes down, the Tri-Strike is built up, but it's not called when it's going to be launched. So we aren't going to have any team members ready to push in with that Tri-Strike to successfully defend that tower.
Got their bubbler and 1.
However, we do get 1, and the machine still follows up anyway, so good job to the machine. You move up when it's safe as well to follow up. You are adding pressure, you're zoning out right now.
Leaders on right stack. Got them.
Nice.
Okay, that's a moment of the whole prediction, because the audio is ahead of the game footage.
I'm simply incredibly confident, actually.
I mean, another thing though, this is one of the moments that I wanted to highlight. If we take a look at how Fia approached this, I love how Fia approached this too. So, I always say, as a backliner, you want to find all of your obstacles to keep you safe, to find any way to get an advantage against your other opponent, especially when you're at a disadvantage. Fia here uses the tower all the way up to when it gets to this corner, and right side peaks the E leader. It is an amazing play, and I do this a lot of the times myself when I know like there's a charger or just like another Hydra or something like that. I love using the tower on tower control because it is a moving wall. And it saves you from so much, and it gets you into positions that help you out. So Fia here uses the tower to get a pick on the leader. The leader knows you're there, but you peeked it really well to be able to get that to get that picked, and I was very proud of that when I saw you do that. So great job following the tower to do that. And for fellow backliners out there, when you're playing tower control, always remember that your tower is also one of your best friends. Obstacles, pillows, and all that are your number one best friend. Tower is right up there in the group because it is a moving wall, and it really does help you out so much when you can use it. It helps you escape. It can help you get closer advantage, and all that sort. Especially when you find in a disadvantage. What, Fia?
It's just free cover, and it moves. So, like, why wouldn't you use it?
I know it is free cover. Just 1 second. There is a message I very much need to respond to. Just urgent thing. Okay, there we go. It was just a quick yes or no, thank goodness.
As a charger, I'm a big fan of just perfect squares or hard angles because it means that I can keep them without like having to worry about a rounded corner or whatever.
Yes, I paused that as a really good thing here. So yeah, Fia uses the tower, which is parked here, to get closer up and get this angle on the leader, because that is a solid angle. I can't draw a straight line back and forth, but so on and so forth. Yes. For people who are new coming into the chat here, my name is Devi. I every so often, or just once in a while, will come on and teach usually the backline lessons. When there's some free time to either give Jem a break or we need to fill in for something here and all that stuff. So, yeah, you usually see me in chats here all the time. But yeah, so we're teaching some. We're going through a Charger VOD review with Fia right now. But yeah, this is a great move in on the Charger, and you do something like this more than once throughout this VOD, and I was very proud of your movement there, because you've been VOD reviewed back in like the start of Squid School with your Charger before, and there's even from S2 to S3, you can see that there's been a lot of course, the change with the Chargers where it's like more precise now,
Much control
in S3 and stuff. And there's been much improvement since then. So
Okay.
So yeah, Fia hits this great shot, takes out the leader, and this really should help your teammates, and you can see that a teammate's kind of calling out where the next person is. It looks like your team is trying to get in a way to move.
Alright, I'm getting on tower.
One thing here that we can do is I think you're just kind of adjusting so no one from down below gets you. But with the leader down, it's definitely the perfect opportunity to push up. We should have one on the tower already. If it's not you, it's going to be I don't remember which ability who had it most. I think it's either going to be, if it ain't you, it's going to be your Splash or your T-Tech, your Splash in particular if it has Crab. But really, it's just the next closest while the rest of the team moved up. And also in the planning, that's another thing you want to talk about, especially when it's a moving objective. It's who's going to carry objective, who's going to push objective. It kind of goes in the same way. So tower, who's going to push it? You want to make sure you have a primary tower rider and a secondary tower rider at the ready. But then if those two aren't available, you want the next closest to stall it while the other two come back in. In this case, I don't know if we have that set because I think you're just kind of the default tower rider here right now. So they're kind of waiting for something to happen. We did have one riding the tower for special earlier, and they're all pushing the side. In this case, it probably wouldn't hurt to take the left side, but we are going to actually take the right side because I think you realize your teammate goes down. I don't know if you do notice that. And now that the leader's up, I think you're anticipating it to be on this this right-hand side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Which is also a pretty decent call because then you can then you just put like the trust in your team to move to the side. So another thing you can tell your teammates is I'm gonna take right side. And you guys push left. That way they realize that you're not going to be there with cover fire, and they have to really rely on each other. That's something to also note is make sure just to like I lost my train of thought. It just left the station. Come back to me. Come back to me. Okay. Always like kind of double check with your teammates that they know where you are. That way they know if you can give them cover fire or not. I think Jem can confirm that. He mentioned a situation earlier how I set up behind him on grates sometimes and all that. I don't know if he remembers me when I do callouts that I'm like behind or when I say like I'll cover you or I'm not gonna be there because I'm over here. I try to let my teammates know where I am so they know if I have or they know that they have my cover or not. Just to help them push. And nowadays, like I know I really have to let them know that. Just to help my frontliners initiate, or if they have to really rely on the map to help themselves go in, or if they have to rely on another person, so on and so forth. So a good call would be here, like I'm gonna hold right, you guys push left, would be just a quick little call to let your team know that that you're not gonna have their back right away.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, one on left.
Got their leader.
Right, watch down.
But yeah, so this is a great prediction. Backlines can be semi-psychics. And I mean, even with the audio being ahead, this was a good call. Like, hey, I'm gonna watch the right side while you guys push the left. You realize the leader is probably going to be on the right, which was actually very interesting. Kind of lottery play, 50-50, because a lot of times the backlines actually like just go out here immediately when they know the tower's pushing. But the fact that you got the leader coming down here was quite the prediction. So
Foresight.
the one time when they don't go traditional, you get the untraditional, and it ends up working out because now it is a 2-for-1. And your team now still has this advantage to push depending on where these two are. They do have special, something to be aware of. But so right now it's probably a 2v2 in this corner, I think. but we will see how this goes. But anyway, that ends up working out really, really well for you.
There's Junior on me.
They try struck.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's technically a 1v2 in that left corner because you found the tri-strike on the right, and you're actually keeping them behind that block. So your team actually has the upper hand right now in a 2v1.
Your bomb exploded on me.
Unfortunately, the bomb takes out one, evening out the situation. But
I'm not trying to get out of there.
still, I think your call to take right here was actually pretty ingenious. Like really good.
On right stack, careful.
Yeah, I see him.
Got them.
Nice. Keep it down.
Oh,
Love this as well. Using the stack to go to kind of a safer place and listening to a call out, getting the right angle on it and just following right up. So
he took,
nice
one
movement
behind
here to just keep going. Another thing you're doing really well already still in this early of the game is you're constantly moving. You're not just in one perch. You're not being just an open target for people to fire at. The more you can move, the better. And that's what all backlines should get used to doing, especially in S3. Yes, we have the traditional spots we want to stand in. Yes, we want to maintain them, but we also want to make sure we keep mobile. Like, we don't just stay in that one traditional spot for too long. But if it is really working out for you, like say if this team didn't have an E-leader and it was all like short-range weapons, you can maintain one position for longer, but with an E-leader, you have to just kind of keep moving, otherwise they're going to lock you out of that one spot for their teammate to follow up on. So the fact that you are constantly moving here does help out. It's just unfortunate that your escape route had a bit of a issue.
I'm actually playing unscoped right now because I want to get better at like moving around and not
Moving
staying
around, yeah.
because I'm
That's
a
a good
lot
thing to
better
do.
with the scoped. But I also have like that mindset of I keep standing in one spot when I use it, even because my accuracy carries me.
Yeah, no, and having that is no problem. So since you realize that, you're working on fixing it, so that's why you're playing unscoped, and it's working for you. You're moving around already, and now this quick decision to go just behind the little bit of cover that you have to get out here, wonderful.
They crabbed.
Just the split second you have to get out, you just use that little bit of extra wall. You can use a little bit of extra box to like prevent fallout or whatever, and just hop out. So this is really great. We don't map check coming back in, however. I find you map check when you're getting ready to do an aggressive play more than when you're coming back into play. So see if you can add a couple extra map checks for when you're coming into play. Rather than you're basically in play, double checking and then continuing on, because in that split second you're kind of there with charge and kind of ready to go. You're already in kind of like the fire zone, so it's harder to get more information out of that, rather than while you're swimming in you can just kind of look at the map while you're swimming in.
All right, I'll definitely work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Your Jack ICL kill him.
So in this case, there was a flash of light that kind of indicated, hey, I think there's someone on the right, and of course your teammate does see this as well, so they end up going into here.
If you ever see my like aim shaking like that, it means I'm looking in one direction, but I don't want to move my laser too far.
Yeah, this is another thing. It's kind of it's a point of I don't know where to fully focus almost. Like it's you have a designated area. You want to do like the surprise kind of flick where you're looking in one area and then you think the other team thinks, "Hey, the laser's not on me. I can push this." And then the charger's like, "Yes again, snapshot."
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, when chargers do that, I'm like, "Okay, maybe I have a chance." And then it's just like as soon as I try to go for it, I'm like, why did I fall for that? You need to like make sure they're really out of ink or they're actually focused somewhere else before you take that. So I can see here, but it looks like just from that kind of hesitation there, you weren't too sure whether to keep looking at the left where more of your teammates were, or if you wanted to help this person on the right. You ended up looking at helping with this person on the right. But to be honest here, this 1v1 on the right was kind of a lost cause. It's really out of play. You more so want to be continuing to protect your other two teammates here, which was the other one was over here too, taking a fight, then moved back to mid. but the play right now is actually on the left-hand side, and we can see that this right-hand side person was just going to be a distraction. If anything, they might have come up to flank you.
Yeah,
But if you stayed on the if you would have stayed on the left-hand side though, you're still going to have enough time to get away with them, because the most any of these 3 weapons are going to do is they're going to, one, reveal themselves by a bomb, because a lot of these weapons, when they're coming up this foil ramp, they want to chip damage you before they engage you, so they're going to either roll or throw a burst. They're going to roll their splat bomb, throw a burst, and then engage. So by the time, like, do you play with sound on?
Yeah, I do now.
Okay, yeah, you can hear that bomb being thrown or rolled. Usually when it's thrown, you'll get that chip damage from the burst, but if you're on the left-hand side helping a player right now, it's still out of range. It's not going to hurt you, unless if this person happens to come up and just solo crab you, then it's a problem, but I doubt that's going to happen.
You'd be surprised,
What happened? In this case scenario, it would happen more often, but when you get kind of higher up in the scene, it's not going to happen unless if their team has a fully solidified push.
Yeah.
Or you're just like really want to guarantee you're down. That's when they'll do it. But I can't see most players doing that. They'll rely on their main and sub. But that's your initial indicator that they're going to press you. You can also do a quick map check just to see if they've painted any closer to here, because it was your color. So you can just see this real quick to see if like how much closer they've gotten to you or not, because they do have to paint this to get closer to your ramp, unless if they're just that gutsy and don't care. But generally they'll just speed paint up here. They'll throw a bomb at you and go, or you can hear it shoot to the side and then throw a bomb and then still go in. Either way, you should have time to react. They're giving you a reaction time, and most frontliners will reveal themselves before they attack you when going up onto this plat. So you will have time to either get back up on top of attic or drop down, jump back. It's giving you time to move and protect yourself, basically. So even though your teammate did lose this, it's still giving you an indication of where they probably are, because you can see where this X indication is. So they are way down in the right wing. So you are perfectly fine to help your teammates on this side with whatever's happening over here. But we see that your other teammate moved, so I don't know if I can't remember if it was responding to a call out or not. I'm just gonna back up a little bit and see. Oops.
You're good.
ICL kill him.
I went too far, but that's okay.
Yoshi's alone, I'm right.
Oh, so yeah, the teammates responding to your call out. I was like, I think there was one. But yeah, so your teammate goes down here. You do call alone on the right. Unfortunately, the 2v1 doesn't come in there because you are giving cover fire, but it's not going to be as effective because it is a lower ground, and the other player down below has more of a wall cover from your shot. So the 1v1 is basically lost underneath, and you are trying to give cover in mid here. So you do end up turning your aim to the middle here, which ends up being good to put yourself more in play.
I got one.
Very nice. Very nice.
Okay.
Oh, their leader got me.
Oh, there's
That was the moment when I realized the audio was desynced. I can't see pigs, but I can see it. But Diego with the $2. Take your energy. I will take this energy and go Super Saiyan. I'm kidding. Anywho. All the donations and stuff will go to Gem, but I will 100% take that energy and use it throughout the rest of the night. I do appreciate that, Diego.
leaders on the right.
Yeah, leader's on their right, on the right of their flat.
So yeah, the leader does get a number on you there, but I do think trying to hold on that right was a good thing there. And just keeping noted that you are trying to control the right stack does help. If anything, don't be afraid to call for help underneath with someone who's closer. Like if they can, like if a teammate can maybe throw a sub around here or something, just to be like an extra threat underneath the wall here, and then keep pushing with tower. But either way, still not a bad idea. The leader does end up catching you out there on their right side peak, but not a bad job at all, because you do end up taking down. Your teammate is starting to push on this left hand side, and we're cruising now. Oh, while I have it paused here, abilities! I can see the map now! So, as I predicted, Double Bomb Jr. And Respawn Punisher Leader, those are the most common things. Now the two that vary are the other two, but we can see that they're both running common frontline abilities, so they're not relying on one of them being more so how do I put it? Specially, I guess? They might have special subs, but in this case, the way I'm taking this is they want to be more aggressive. The T-Tech in particular wants to be the initiating frontline, followed by the splash. So you've got your initiator, followed by your secondary. So the T-Tech's probably going to be the one pushing up the most. And otherwise, the rest is pretty standard. So the Double Bomb Junior can also be, a thing that backliners don't like fighting, but it's all right. So yeah, in comparison, like their T-Tech compared to your T-Tech, your T-Tech is actually your support, because they have the extra bomb and the tri-strike. So I could see that's why they want to be the initiator, while your splash and your bucket actually have more aggressive builds running basically the same thing. So as the other T-Tech. So that's how you know kind of how a comp is defined off the map and which one you really got to be careful of first, or kind of how they're going to do it. That's why I usually want to check right off the start, especially between the two front lines, if they're running standard, or if they have something different about them. And in this case, your team is actually the one that has something different about them. But it does work when coordinated. So anywho, let's go back to this push that is trying to learn. I like the asking for jump. I don't think they actually fully said anything back to you, but it was a good look at the jump, especially towards tower. This way you can trade off. You guys don't trade off here, and in fact, the tower's just really contested here. I don't know if you can read that early or not. This is a really hard thing to predict, because if you're on tower, the other one should hop right off, because you usually don't want more than 2 on tower, unless if you have nobody pushing you, then you can have 2 on tower to help break checkpoints faster, because when you have an extra person at checkpoints, the timer actually does go down faster. But in this case, you do not have full control of the tower checkpoint right now. We only want either 1 on tower, or you guys have to take the fight below the tower before you keep pushing it, because their team had 1 up here. I'm pretty sure there's 1 up here, just judging by the ink that's coming there, and there were shots coming up from behind you. We really want to make sure that this entire block is in your control, and that you potentially have 1 other player here. Let me redraw this. So you want to have this control, and then potentially 1 player already up here, or the secondary player already up here, before you can like fully secure that tower. Until then, you and I guess your T-Tech, who is your support, so which is most likely the secondary tower rider in this case, are going to be juggling the tower in this corner, kind of keeping it stalled in the left side while everything's happening. Your T-Tech is actually going to be the best staller in this scenario, so you can actually back up and take the left stack, so you can try to stay more safe and shoot. But in this case, there is somebody behind your jump on this side here, so even if you backed up, you back up into them. This is just kind of an unfortunate scenario for you to come into. And unfortunately, you didn't have any confirmation whether it was good or not to come back in, because if one teammate just said no, the next best way, if you would have gotten the no, you could have just swam in on the left-hand side and perched on the left drop in. So it's just unfortunate that you didn't have that confirmation or not, and you just kind of went off of a particular decision. And I mean, when you looked at the map, it did look okay. We just didn't quite see what was all going on in the area. We just knew that it was getting retaken back pretty quickly.
I want. I'm backing up real quick to heal.
Yep.
Oh shit.
And then here we can see the leader on their plat
Yep.
and their snipe, which is a part of why I might go back to the right side again.
I think, in all honesty, coming back onto the left side is really good. It's something for Inkblot that is always known as, like, if you can keep it on this left-hand side, keep this aggression, it's always really good. You are peeking this side a lot, just so you can get right side peek. Have you ever played actually down low on this left half here at all?
Not past the ramp, no.
Okay, because funny enough, with this tower stalled here, remember how I always say it's a moving like obstacle?
Mhm.
In this case, I'm gonna back it up a little bit just to double check and see if there's actually anybody on this left-hand side. But one thing that I've adapted to do, and I see a lot of other backlines doing, is that they actually just, out of the ink, with not a lot of cover, use their range to like the peak of their range, use the tower as well, and just kind of dance around in this little square area. And their escape route is coming back over here, right? Or they can just flee back into the wing by that tree or the box and get out. But that way they can just maintain full control. And because it's such a short range comp, they really have to rely on their E leader to get you out of the way.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to back it up a little bit just to see if we can actually see if that person's still here. Again, for those new to the stream, I do apologize for the quality. The video itself is pixelated, so what you're seeing is what I see. Just for context for those new. So that person on the left is still there. Oh, they do get it down. They do get it down. So when you hop in, I like that this is overhead. This side is actually your color. And you do have teammates kind of in this area, but just kind of like right here is generally a nice spot that I see a lot of backlines take. That way, even on top of the ramp, they can just walk behind it, or they, again, can just flee back over here, or they just have a way out over here. They have escape routes, basically. And when they perch here, they can hit up here, they can hit over the ramp, they can hit over here, or if someone drops and tries to flank, they can hit here. It's a nice wall of area that your teammates can use as backup to try to take control of these top spots. And when a backline gets positioned there, it is very hard for short-range people to deal with. They tell me this in particular when I get set up there, and even just fighting other backlines myself from being like in a traditional position. So if like this is me, or if like this is me, just trying to even deal with a backliner down there that I know, whether it has range on me or not, can still apply poke for a front line who's potentially lurking under here, or just kind of like, or is up the ramp already, but still applies pressure. So it's hard to actually maintain these defensive positions when a backline is just there. And when you're there, you can still keep tower there. So if you do get a pick, your team can just move forward and continue where you left off. Even if you have like a stall situation for almost a minute, you can stall tower there for a long time. It's almost like how a strategy of stalling Rainmaker in the left wing pays off really well. Well, this is stalling tower in the left-hand side because you can just fully guard this side. And whoever comes at you, you have range against. So they have to special you out, or the leader has to force you out. But yeah, maintaining this left-hand side as close as you possibly can with your range, and making sure that the leader can't hit you, is solid. And with the tower here, you have that extra block there, and you can still like jump shot out to the left and come right back. And even though it's like a left side peak, it still is solid for you to be positioned on this side, just because this is what you can cover, and this is how you are threatening. And your teammates can very well follow up on that, especially your machine, who can just basically sit in this spot right here and slosh over the ledges to follow up, right? So it's a lot of control that you can get from that spot alone. That's why it's one of the primary on offense positions a backline can take when pushing tower. If you can get that little bit of advantage and have at least one other person with you, it's a solid spot.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Sorry.
The nice part is that in this spot here, your teammates are stalling it pretty decently. It looks like the leader is the one that moves up to perch there. One does drop to the left.
Try to keep you alive.
Did you think you were gonna die?
Maybe just a little.
I do that myself, but really good defensive instinct to throw a bomb down. This is something another tip for backlines. Whatever sub you have, use it as a defense mechanism to escape. Like if you have a sprinkler, sprinklers can tank a couple shots. Yeah, the ones with the bombs, Hydra and Charger here, they can just put the bomb down and it chases them or just keeps them away when it explodes. Mines, those do pick, so even if they're getting chased, they'll be marked and you can always turn around and tap shot them and kite them back as you're tap shotting them. But there's and for bows, they can just put a toxic mist down and it just slows them down. By that point in time, you should be long gone in your escape route. These subs are really good to get you out of potential close range fights that you don't want to be in, and a lot of backlines forget that they have a sub, especially when it's not a lethal bomb. So I am promoting your sub weapons on every backline. They're there for a reason, even though some of them might be really ink-consuming or all that stuff. If you're able to use that sub and find yourself you're going to be in a tight situation and you can't charge up or you can't get a slosh off if you're an X-blow or you can't get a solid bow charge, put down that sub to create distance. That way you can get yourself out safely. So you saw Fia drop the bomb and ran. Or I should say swam. I'm the one that drops the bomb and runs.
Tapping pads is my specialty. Swimming through them just comes second.
But yeah, that really gets you out here. Sophia does that, gets out successfully here. Just to find a new position to potentially cover here. Does see the E-leader. Another thing that you could be doing is that if you find that the leader is giving your team some trouble, I don't think, they haven't really called it out too much at this point, but when I find a threatening weapon like an E-leader on the other side, that's really going to cause a lot of problems to your front lines, or if it's going to help your scenario, I always try to figure out where this threat is so I can position around it or I can find my way closer to it. So it never hurts if you see it and they don't. It never hurts to call leader middle plat or just where they are or on their attic or on left-hand side. A lot of things I do in particular is I'll say where the leader is and say where they're generally looking at the start, because what usually happens is that when I call that out, a teammate's going to try to follow up on that and get shots off on their blind spot where they're not looking. So say I say leader on left wall looking left. A lot of times I'll have a teammate over here, and they just go right in for that, while me and another are distracting this left view, making sure they stay looking left. So if there's a way to potentially set that up, if your front lines kind of adapt on that, you can take down that threat and just keep on moving, and that way your front lines can move for free, the biggest threat's down, and you just have to make sure you deal with the other ones in between you and the path. But by taking away that range, it gives your front lines more freedom. By still knowing kind of how they're going. So if there's also a way they're looking left, but of course how I said how chargers do the thing where they look in a certain direction but are actually going to snapshot back to another way. Mm-hmm. They could be doing that. So if there's a way that you yourself can keep them looking that direction when you know your teammate's going to pinch, even better, because then you can actually bait them and guarantee your teammate a splat on that. So then it still feels like a dub because you've just you got them on the hook. That's another thing of baiting with the lasers that you can do as well. So you can look at them with your laser, make sure they kind of tunnel you, or make sure your teammates throw a bomb up or something just to catch their attention, so they're not going to turn around and catch the teammate that wants to get that pick. So so always keeping general callouts on where that player is is a really good thing for you and your front lines because technically you are at the disadvantage against it in a straightaway. So it's always a good thing to do. So since we saw that leader up on plat, it's always a good thing to just be like leader on plat, and if a bonus, you can be like, hey, looking this way. As a quick little bonus, I find it does help front lines. I don't say too much afterwards. I just say leader plat looking this way. And then sometimes I'll just say be careful if they're close to it, or I know that they don't have anything distracting them in one way.
If we can get one of them to use Tri Strike and waste it early on.
Got their the splash is coming over on the right side.
So I like that one call by your teammate to see if you can bait out a special. Although you ended up picking them off anyway.
Got the E-leader?
Stagger my strikes. Alright, push.
Nice. I like those callouts. Got the 2 picks and it's just push.
I see, I'm pushing up with you.
This is where it gets a little interesting to me, and you had a lot of trust here, Fia. So I think you knew that 2 of your teammates were already pushed up, right?
Yeah.
At this point. So because Fia knew that they had 2 teammates pushing ahead, Fia actually turns their back here. Usually the number 1 rule of backline is to never turn your back to where it's the most dangerous, but in this case, the most dangerous is of both ways. In this case, Fia is actually helping their teammate here, which you might not be able to see on the screen because it is very pixelated, but there is a teammate here that I just X'd against the crab, which is somewhere down here. And there's 2 other teammates now behind Fia pushing up. So Fia is putting a lot of trust in the teammates right now to take out who is contesting tower from the front, while Fia helps take out on the back. So this is a very solid choice here. It's a hard thing to decide as well, and a lot of trust, and I do appreciate that you have that trust with your teammates in this situation to be able to make sure that your teammate down here doesn't go down. So that way you can keep going. And bravo to your teammates for pushing forward to stop what's ever trying to come at you that could potentially splat your back. So this ended up going really well. And unfortunately your teammate goes down, but what a shot. just took down that threat. So now you are able to just look forward. And I see that your T-Tech had the response to come down and help after the teammate went down, but didn't go far, which is a good thing. So it's still around tower to help you if need. You've got 2 specials, your bucket's in a good spot. This is a really good spot for you right now, especially since you have the other team staggered. And we're still pressing forward. The Booyah Bomb stalling them back even forward.
I've got my back, so I'm just gonna wait here.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid push by the team right now.
I'm gonna try to set up on crab.
I'm backing.
I like this decision to back because now we've kind of lost a little bit control, right? And now the other team's coming back in. I see your teammates kind of backed up a little bit, like your machine hesitated before they went forward a little bit. So your machine kind of backed up with your other teammate. We see the third is trying to come up here to help you get to just to keep this area control, I think, especially with the vac up here. I think, what is it? Your machine is relatively pretty safe directly under this wall. Like, a lot of frontliners will hug this. The machine itself can always just come back out and peek up at the leader here just to get it out of the way, or fizzy bomb from back here. Fizzy bombs from over here up to the prime defensive position here are super annoying. So people who wield fizzy bombs and splat bombs, keep doing that. Even though I absolutely do not like it, congrats, you're doing a good job. Fizzy bombs from that corner are absolutely like,
they're miserable.
They make you want to cancel a charge. You have to move because you don't know if it's going to hit you or if it's going to go away, so on and so forth. But anywho, to you frontliners, throwing bombs from underneath here, especially from just directly underneath this foil ledge, is huge, especially if there's a backliner up here or a primary defender up here. Get them out of the way. Keep using your bombs, all this stuff, and all of your resources to flush this out. That way, you only have to focus on this area of pushing tower if this area is flushed out.
Nice.
So, good decision to vac here. It does
Over
protect
here.
you from leader shots and other people here.
Bomb killed me on tower.
I
Oh, we
was
have a really good
surprised
signal.
that that vacuum actually didn't take anybody down. And as you can see, like I said, your teammates ended up feeling something threatened them and they pushed back. So that way you and your support got stuck up here. So if you realize that your teammates aren't pushing up, if anything, I just recommend just backing up with them or encourage them to move up. If you find they're not up ahead of you, tell them to come up. Because you have a way to push up, and if we could have gotten your machine installed up here, if your splash could have maybe followed with the tower as well, we'd have some more control underneath here. But in this case, they actually opted to back out, and I'm not too sure what caused them to back out. Because you had vacuum on here, your shot was moving up, so just decision by the other two to stay back and stay more safe, and it wasn't communicated, so you and the support end up going down, leaving your two front lines alone here.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens next is actually pretty interesting. So
You two
the
might just
other
wanna back
team
up or
is
alone.
still in a stagger. Keep that in mind. You've always had them one down. Like, you've had more of the advantage until this point. Like, they have one more person advantage right now, but they've always had one person down. So on and so forth. So you've continued to keep that advantage for so long. And so your front lines are actually opting to pair up here and keep pushing the tower because they're seeing that there's only one person ahead of them, so they're taking 2v1s right now. And this is actually pretty solid of your front lines to do, I will say. Just keep it pushing, keep the aggression. And they were doing really well, and even your last one standing up there took it to 1. With it being that close, I'd almost even opt to even just jump back in right away, because they kind of give you an opportunity to jump back into tower there when you respawn, because you can see how you and your support are swimming in. When you're that close to check, usually I don't encourage this, but when it's that close, we all know how when you get splatted on tower, sometimes you still have like your spirit pushing the tower by a point. We all know this, right? When you get splatted on tower and you're pushing, sometimes the game ends even when it like you die on tower at like 1 point.
Yeah, the tower blind.
That's kind of a thing. Like, even if you jump to tower, your teammate can still use the tower wall or the jump in itself as a shield. It's the same thing as body blocking when you want to dunk the Rainmaker. I would actually recommend to jump in here to your player that's on tower, just to either be the meat shield, as we like to call it, or just to potentially jump in and maybe you can get off in time. If a bomb takes you down, that's okay. Hey, you might have even been able to push an extra point with your teammate. But it's giving you kind of an extra chance to hop into that teammate, whether it's you or your support. Give it that extra chance. Keep trying to give that tower momentum. With it being that close, you can risk the jump in. Even if you get team wiped, then you just have to, if you get team wiped there and it still gets stopped at 1 after the jump in attempts, then just stay call in focus and stay control of like the left hand area, because that is a primary spot to take control of. And the tower still has this whole way to go to ride back to mid. So, and there's with a minute left, you still have plenty of time to come and defend. So at that point in time, like in this case scenario in particular, definitely try doing the jump in, because it is that close. You can still get that little bit of extra momentum. You can potentially be the meat shield, unless if the leader happens to be the one shot and it goes right through. But if you can by chance take damage from one of the other shooters, just to keep the other person alive, or if that person goes down to save your jump, even. So that is one of those scenarios where I encourage you to jump into danger. And like literally one of the only scenarios I will encourage you to jump into danger. But we end up we end up going down anyway, so your support tries to rush this as well, and there is somebody down here. Oh, wait, not there. It's kind of blurry, but this red flash, there's a crab right here. I didn't actually notice that because it's really blurry, but that is a crab. An ending crab there ends up getting your support player coming back in, so it does leave just you. But you're in a good position right now to just kind of stall out because you have control of like this pretty much.
Mhm.
I kind of lowered that really soon. I think it's like more so kind of like this, a little bit more by the mushroom, but kind of that general area with your range, and you can just keep people zoning out because that's the splash, and like their other three are up here somewhere. So they're giving you a lot of space. This way you can still keep jumps, and with the crab ending, you don't have to go too far.
Probably should have.
You this way a little bit, but you do stay in the ink a little bit longer this way. Something you can do is, you know, the splash is shooting right now. Get yourself a charge shot and jump up.
The charge doesn't last that long.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't last that long here, really?
I have tried it.
Have you tried it from here?
From there, it does work.
Yes, try it from there. Because that way you can still be that threat. The splash does know you're here still, but you have the extra range to keep that zone, so you can still do a jump shot from up here. You can still come out from that side, but I believe in this case you're looking to fire from the right side again, which of course is advantage. But we also have to remember, like, the splash was way up on their plat when crab was ending, so you do have the space to be able to come and take this high ground again before it wants to launch at you. But it does have the burst bomb, so it might just come and chuck burst bombs at you, but it never hurts to try, or kind of, I call it ledge peeking. I like to ledge peek it a little bit sometimes, or just double check the map to see if you can actually see how close they are.
Gotcha.
But you can combine it both, just to double check to see if you can actually continue to like control this high ground before they take you right out. But you can see the splash ends up coming up top, right? So even if you stay underneath that wall and don't go fully up, you can still see slash hear what's actually directly in front of you, and you can hear the shots too. Depending on how loud you have the sound, you can actually tell how far away your potential target is by the sound. And in this case, you could see that it was getting closer to you. So as soon as crab ended, by the way it sounded, just from what I'm picking up from the audio as well, is as soon as the crab ended, the splash just bolted the stack towards Fia because they knew the charger was there. But if anything, you can still put a bomb on a side, or even take that left wing, like I said. And if all fails, you just jump out. And in this case, you're going backwards anyway, so
I fled because I saw shots fired.
Yep, so we can see the splash just came up and took this spot before you could. We just kind of gave it up after the crab went. Even before the crab was ending, it was firing at you from up here, right?
Yeah.
And if you happen to just kind of keep the wall about here, like just holding squid on it, and all that, you can still come up because there's still a buffer period where the crab ends and they're coming back into shots, right? It's not very long, but you still have that little buffer period before they can launch bombs at you. That way you can quickly reclaim this and be like, hey, Splash, I'm still here, you can't push. You could have maybe kept them on their plat a little bit before they started rushing, or just had enough time to charge a shot. They might have been able to take cover here, but you still had that extra time to still stay threatening to the Splash while crab was ending. But in this case, you still get out here. You play it right here. You knew the splash was still coming at you. You backed up. Still good played here.
It's fine. It's fine.
And your teammate is going to try to help deal with the splash, but the bombs are coming at you pretty nicely. Nice shot. Nice jump. Yeah. The other thing here is, of course, like I said, tower has to push all the way back, right? And one of your teammates is over here. I think it was dealing with this person, or if there was a flank, so I can see why they were over here. But the more you can stall tower in that side, keep control of this general left area, the better. So having more squids, more octos on this side of the map, the better.
Watch out for the crab
So
on
they
the
have that crab
Yeah,
again,
I
trying to
tried using them on their
defense.
crab, but they
You guys are
They
taking
threw
the
full
right
pot
again.
now. One person
Okay,
far
I'm just
left.
throwing bombs.
The other thing here
and
is like
building up.
you and your shot have the same idea to take the right hand side. This is a case where I tell said person to either move or I move myself. In solo queue, of course, I can't tell them this. But if it's your more dominant spot, tell the splash to go support another, or the shot to go support another player, because they need them more than you do. In this point. So the splash is kind of playing around you right now. They want to make sure they're in the way of tower path, but we need them on the left-hand side right now helping your teammates because they're trying to control from the left right now. So in this case, this is where you want to raise your voice and be like, okay, I can't hold hands with you right now. I need you to go hold hands with this player. That way it's less risk of you and your support going down again hand in hand, because we still want to have you or the support alive to help your front lines rather than both of you going down because you were playing too close to each other. But if they find it's better for them and you need to go, I guess you're just going back up to plat. But in this case, your shot needs to realize that, hey, this is your spot. I need to go help another player. So make sure we use our voice for that one. Otherwise, there's a higher chance that you're going to go 2 down in a potential chance for overtime, and we want to make sure they don't get overtime.
Right.
So yeah, this bomb in particular, if that bomb rolled down anymore,
I would have.
you and your shot were going down. You. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I have time strike. I'm just holding it until the game.
That was a very good bomb, by the way. I think the junior threw that. That was a good bomb. If it went any further, that would have been a solid double bomb, just like the start of the game.
Oh, they wasted their.
I couldn't jump back fast enough.
And in this case, with your support being close to you, your support's able to get out faster, and you have nothing else, so you end up ahead of your support, and you don't have the time gap to get out in time for this one. So, oh no. At least we know kind of where we're. Nope, too far. Wrong VOD. We're getting there.
I forgot to stop
we were about to...
recording.
Yeah.
Right now. One person far left.
Okay, so here. We'll get past the situation here.
I have try strike. I'm just holding it until the game.
That's good. That was such a risky.
Oh, they wasted their.
It was, but it didn't hurt because this was a tough situation anyway. Either way, you were going down, whether you lost that poke to the E-leader or you just get stuck in this. So I'd say in this scenario, yes, you probably could have backed up sooner, but because you stayed, it was worth trying to take the trade. That's really all you can do in this situation when you know it's too late. But if you can get the situation sooner where, hey, if there's more, like if your support's coming to me, there's got to be a reason why they're there. But in this case, like I said in the play before, the support could have definitely been up on the left preventing this. But also, if you realize that the fight goes down and there's more of the enemy coming to you with their specials, we definitely want to notice that and get out sooner so we can be in a defensive spot when they push tower. And the other note is that they have a long way to go to push tower. So we have plenty of time to get into a defensive position. So the primarily the number one play to take here is get into that solid spot where you can defend while still being kind of like in an aggressive defense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like an aggressive defense to stop tower. The other part is also how close to special you were. Vac is a pretty solid special, so if we had gotten out in time, we could have had Vac and probably controlled this top here. That way, you can be up close, you can initiate Vac, the leader can't do nothing to you because you have Vac out, it fills, and you guys can basically stop the first checkpoint with that vacuum shot. And this. Or not that, that's their team. But if you had that... No, that is your team. My brain sucks.
They use that right when I die.
Yeah, okay. So they do use it when it's... Yeah, they use it when you go down there. And I know there was another time where you said it happened where they used it early, I think.
I couldn't jump back last night. Good try, Strike. Just hop on A little early, but yeah.
We're good.
Yeah,
found
it still
use
worked.
it because
It
they
was
were
still
all-
a pretty effective tri-strike. Like, it was enough to the point where it backed them up to go there. And the fact that you called the tri-strike, somebody hop on, someone did hop on after that, you guys had the game. So yeah, that was pretty good. It was almost risky there because if the Charger got a shot out in that last second, it was a chance they could have got it. But I don't think anyone from their side was going to get on tower in time anyway. So I think you were good. Either way, it all worked out. You had the bodies in the way of first checkpoint. It would have worked out either way, because you had the defense, you had the specials at the ready, and it was going there. But yeah, lots of good things from the spot. A couple of things from call out, just some extra map checks, and where you can definitely be more dominant on the offense, especially controlling this left-hand side of Inkblot. That is like the number one spot of this map, and if you lose control of that, it's rough. But yeah, really good job using tower as a way to get in closer to the other spot and predicting kind of how your opponent is moving. When you kind of have that upper hand, it's just kind of a game of chess in your mind, backline to backline, right? How are they going to move? Am I able to get this advantage? How can I help my teammates? And just kind of making sure your team is aware what side you're going to guard, or if you're going to guard them. And all that. But yeah, well played there on the push. You got a really good setup. You kept them staggered. Used specials at a pretty decent time. So yeah, just a couple little things here and there, and you're cruising.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Devi, and thank you so much, Fia, for covering on stream here. The idea originally was for them to be having this lesson while I made food from HelloFresh, but the box never came in, so I'd appreciate them running it all regardless. Sorry for the technical issues here and there. A couple of times the stream had to go down and whatnot. It was definitely rough on my end, and I'm kind of glad that it didn't end up being the sponsored segment of the stream, because that was... Oh boy. Anyway, I have a Ludi set that's going to be starting up at the top of the hour here. So I am going to have to call it for the stream right about now to get back with my team and start warming up for it. But appreciate everybody stopping through, especially all of y'all who are still here despite the fact that the stream went down for like multiple minutes at a time. And we are going to send our Twitch viewers off on a raid that I am looking up right now. There's a Hydra. There's a Hydra hug.
Because chat deserves a hug.
Thank you, chat. All right. We're going to drop you guys off with Dapple Productions. I'm assuming there's some tournament that they're running here. I don't remember off the top of my head which one it is. But whatever it is that Dapple Productions are doing... Squid Junction. There you go. It's going to be pretty good. So let's go and see what's going on there. This is an open tournament. I mean, we got rated by 2 tournaments. It's only fair that we raid another one out ourselves. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one. Stay safe.